Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of Let's Talk Bets. I'm your host, Matt Larrison. Joined with me is Scott Cobe, and no Tanner today, so it looks like you guys are interchanging your days here. I'm back down to one co-host, so we're going to do our best here. But, Scott, how are you?
I'm doing well. Do we realize it's 50 straight days of football between now and November now? Every day there's a game someplace. Perfect. Christmas has come early.
God bless America.
I'm here for that. So
yeah, we're very close to Mac Attack again, which is just some great stuff on Wednesdays. So I'm all for it. But we have more than just football, Scott. Let's talk our MLB so far. Some wild stuff has happened. Texas won last night 4-0 over Tampa Bay, and they're closing in on the series as we speak. The Rays are up now, bottom of the ninth inning, 7-1. You could pretty much probably write it off that the Rangers are moving on, and I believe they'll be playing the Orioles. Holy cow, Scott. That's a bit of a shock. The Rangers had not been good the last month. Not the same team that they were earlier on in the season. The Rays, I can't give them credit either. They kind of fell apart a little bit as well, but not to the extent that Texas was. But the offense for the Rangers was just on fire today, and the pitching yesterday was just great. So I guess if you're a Tampa fan, you got to be pretty upset right now. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they only had 19,000 at the game yesterday, which is an all-time franchise low, and that's disgraceful for a Major League Baseball playoff game to only draw that, number one. Number two, I agree with you. Texas has been falling. The bullpen's been awful all year long, basically, and their pitching has been really good. They shut them out yesterday. 1 run going into the bottom of the ninth today. So, what are your feelings? I know you're an Orioles fan, so getting Texas in the ALDS.
Yeah, I liked the. This is going to sound crazy, but I liked the pitching of the Rays. So at least the starters better than Texas. Obviously, Scherzer's a beast. Eovaldi, he proved that he's still who he is today. Great performance today. But I just liked the matchup with Texas a little bit better. I think that Texas offense, we might have a better chance at stopping them. We also don't see Texas as much as Tampa, so it's it can be an advantage and it can be a disadvantage, but. Both teams were so close to me. It didn't really matter. For me as an Orioles fan, I can't stand Tampa. I feel bad for the fans that truly do love the team, but they should move that team. No one cares about that team in that area. All the people down there are the Yankee fans because the Yankees do their spring training down there. So, the only time their stadium is full is when the Yankees come down there. So it frustrates me because they're so successful, but then nobody gives a crap about them. So you can't blame that on the players or the fans that do care, but it's just when they were in the World Series a few years ago, it's like nobody cared. It was probably the lowest ratings for Major League Baseball World Series in a long time. So
I don't think they're going to move them because they're building a new stadium, a 30,000 seat stadium, which I thought was small at the beginning, but when you look at yesterday's attendance, it's not small at all. So
make it a little bit more pageantry, a little bit nicer. More things to do, a couple hot tubs for seats, do it the old Tropicana way. Hey, they got to figure out more than just the stadium. That was embarrassing to just get absolutely trounced, not even win one of these wild card games. I didn't like the pitching matchups that they had. I understand they had to go back from the rotation that they were using in the regular season, but Glass now is the 1. And then Eflin is, I think, the better pitcher at 2, which, he went up against Eovaldi. That was a smart move. But then you go back and you think to yourself, oh, they don't have McClanahan. They don't have Rasmussen. So that's why they were where they were. And I think that internally the Rays knew that. And obviously you're going to do your best. But I think they knew after they lost McClanahan and I had already lost Rasmussen, just a slew of pitching injuries. It just kind of was the writing on the wall.
Yeah, and then at the trade deadline, all they got is Aaron Savali. That's not good enough in my mind. So.
Yeah, even though he trounced the Orioles when we played him, man. Looked like Roger Clemens out there. So that's crazy. Minnesota wins 3-1 over Toronto. I'm not shocked by this. They had 18 losses coming in. The Twins are fired up. Toronto is just one of the worst hot, cold teams you could ever imagine. And the only times they're hot, it's like 70% cold, 30% hot. And it's not an even 50-50. So it just it doesn't shock me. Sonny Gray's on the hill tonight. We'll get into the lines in a minute. I love the Twins to just finish this out tonight. I think they're hot. I think it's going to happen. They've got what's his name? Barrios on the mound.
Yep.
He's kind of the middle of the pack thrower for me, in my opinion, compared to Gosman and some of the others on that team. So I'm going to take the Twins again, but wow, it's been a crazy playoff so far. Yeah,
my problem with Toronto has been when they run up against really good pitching, they tend to struggle on offense. And sure enough, Minnesota's got a great pitching staff. If Gray loses tonight, I think it's Joe Ryan in Game 3, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So there's another good pitcher. On the baseball show yesterday, I picked the Twins to win this series. I just think that pitching is going to win out in this series, as opposed to the other series where Texas is a heavy hitting ball club. And then you get in the DS. Houston can score runs. Baltimore could score runs. So Minnesota is going to be a threat to the Houston Astros in the series, I think.
Well, and even Ober's not that bad for the Twins. He's another good thrower. And the Blue Jays just don't have the offense to keep up against, strong pitching like this. They were supposed to, when they got the guys that they got, Chapman and, they've got, Kiermaier and Vladdy Jr., who's having a not so great season compared to what he should be doing. It's just kind of writing on the wall. Another franchise that's going to have to take a look and be like, what do we do? Like, if you start all over, it's like, man, you were at this peak of a mountain and now you're going to have to go all the way back down. Or do we reload and try to sign some people in the offseason? I don't know. I don't know if they're going to spend the money. So it's going to be very interesting. They see a lot of guys walk too. So one's interesting to me, what they do going forward.
And with Toronto, they got to bolster their pitching staff. Their pitching staff's not good enough that once they get into playoff baseball, that it's going to shut down other teams. So they need to address that. They need to get one more really good starter because Barrios is not it.
No,
he's not it. So.
And sometimes Gosman isn't either. I mean, he has some flashes, but he's a very hot, cold pitcher too. So Orioles knew that way back when also. Couple more. Arizona wins 6-3 over Milwaukee, and Philly wins 4-1 over Miami. The Philly one doesn't surprise me. Even the Arizona one doesn't surprise me. We'll just get the lines right here while we're looking. Milwaukee can't win a playoff game to save their lives. I mean, this team is, we're so good. We've got this, and this. And then when playoffs come, it's nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's Zach Gallen tonight for the Diamondbacks. Give me the Diamondbacks. I don't care. For the Diamondbacks, this is a must-win game. You got to win when you have Gallen on the mound because that should be a surefire win. Because after that, I mean, yesterday they got enough offense to keep them alive, but their pitching is their weak point besides Gallen, and they really need to capitalize when he's on the mound. So it's a must-win for them tonight.
Yeah, Lovola took a huge risk putting Brandon Pfaadt in Game 1. And it paid off for him.
Yeah.
So now he's got his stud ace on the mound for Game 2. If Arizona is to go places, they need to finish it tonight. And I think they will. I agree with you. I think they'll beat Milwaukee tonight. So.
Yeah, I agree. Philly, Miami. I'm going to take the Phillies. They're a powerhouse in the postseason, unfortunately. But they might take the Braves down for us, that would be nice. Miami, unfortunately, they squeaked in the playoffs, but I don't think they're quite there yet. There's an exciting team, but hopefully they make some more moves to kind of bolster the team a little bit. But they got a lot of young talent too, so that's an exciting team. But I think Philly finishes them off tonight as well. The only game I really could see maybe we get another series into this is Toronto might win against Minnesota tonight. But I like the Diamondbacks and I like the Phillies to finish it out tonight.
Yeah, I do as well. I know it hasn't been the model of consistency. Maybe tonight is the night that he starts becoming more consistent. If he throws up 7 innings of 1-run ball, there's no way the Marlins are going to be able to compete with that. So,
yeah, Marlins rely on their offense probably predominantly, to get things done. And I think it's Braxton Garrett on the mound tonight. So
it is. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, Scott, you weren't here last week, but you still did the best out of all of us, which is a crime amongst
Maybe yourselves. I shouldn't be here every week.
I'm trying to remember the one you missed. I don't have it here anymore.
I missed the Kansas City. We were all on Kansas City, I think.
We all missed that one.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes was a yard and a half from me going perfect last week.
There was a lot of upset people about that.
Damn quarterback. Tanner wants to trade him.
Oh. Wow.
He's just kidding, but yeah.
Let's see how we do this week, though. I'm feeling like I'm going to win it this week. I got a good line here. I'm going to start Wednesday. Now that we got Wednesday stuff, I got Jayville plus 3.5 against Middle Tennessee. I like Jayville. They're a pretty good team. They had a scare last week. We still covered the 6.5, but Sam Houston State had a defense they weren't surprised. They were a little surprised with, and they actually were able to score. Sam Houston State was. So it went to OT, but they got the job done. I still like them this week, especially to score points on MTSU. Thursday, I've got Western Kentucky 6.5 over Louisiana Tech. Western Kentucky is actually a pretty good team, and the losses they have, they played Ohio State. Like they don't play slouches. Their offense is prolific. So I definitely look at the over in this game. I don't know how high they put it at, but they're going to score points for sure. So I like them a lot. I like Illinois to beat Nebraska. Nebraska's just not good. Illinois is at home. Good defense. Could Nebraska win? Yeah. But I just think that the home advantage gives it to Illinois. I'm not taking points or anything. It could be a low game, and they could win, 14-13 or something weird.
Yeah.
So I'll take that. Kentucky, that should actually be plus 14.5, but I'm going to take Kentucky 14.5 against Georgia. The Dogs killed me last week. They sold on your boy for sure. Against an Auburn team that is not good. Like if you look at the schedule and who they played and how they performed prior to that game, they're not good. So must be the new guys at Georgia just aren't used to the big crowds. But I like Kentucky. They're just a really good team. I mean, Kentucky is going into Georgia for this game, which is why the line is probably so high. But Georgia hasn't covered these spreads yet this year. They've looked very bad in terms of what they should be. I don't want to say they've looked bad in that sense, but they have not been what they should be. So give me Kentucky, man. They're on fire. Sunday, I'm taking the Bengals -3 against Arizona. This will be the last time I take them. This is desperate. This is more desperation than it could possibly be for the Bengals, especially because they're playing Arizona, and they have a gauntlet of the rest of the year. They've got to play tough defenses, Cleveland, Baltimore, Pittsburgh. They've got a whole slew of stuff, and they've already got 3 losses, so they've got to win this game. They have to win this game. So I'm going to ride with them. I think that it's desperation. So I think they do get it done. Arizona already upset the Cowboys, so they're probably done for the year. They don't want to win anymore.
I know.
Unless they think Josh Dobbs is the answer. I don't know. We'll see. And then I got Green Bay, Vegas under 44.5. I already don't like the offense for Vegas because of Jimmy being hurt. He might be back, but it doesn't matter. Primetime games have been under a lot so far this year. And Green Bay's kind of another team that might just only score, 20, 24 points just to, finish the game out. But I actually like the defense of Green Bay in fantasy against Vegas as well for prime time. So looking at that as well. But that's what I got, Scott. Tell me where I'm wrong.
I can't really see anything. I really can't. It's the only shaky one I have is Cincinnati -3 at Arizona. I know they're in inspiration mode, but how does Joe Burrow play? That's the whole key.
Right.
And they make him have T. Higgins, which means Tyler Boyd steps up to that number 2 wide receiver. And he's been serviceable and okay, but still, it's not T. Higgins. And I know T. Higgins has struggled this year, but that'd be the only one I'd be shaky on. I think Green Bay's Aaron Jones is going to get as many carries as he wants Monday night. Green Bay can't have any confidence putting the ball in Jordan Love's hand and say, go win us a game. He's just struggled mightily this year a lot of times. And that's why I think Aaron Jones is going to get a lot of run on Monday night.
Yeah, I agree. What about Illinois? I was wondering. I didn't know if you think that you'd like Illinois or
Nebraska is one of those I fade every chance I get. Either bet against them or fade. I don't like them at all. I just think offensively they're challenged. I think they can't score more than 14 points in the game. So I love Illinois at home in that spot. I think they're going to win the game.
Yeah, it's going to be ugly, man. It's going to be an ugly game, but I think Illinois squeaks it out.
As we'll see later with one of our picks.
Yeah, with a certain pick of ours that we're going to scrutinize to no end. Scott, you're so surgical. I had to move some of your picks into another box because it didn't give me enough text. So we'll break this down to a 2-parter here. Jayville over 2.5 total touchdowns. Love it. Love it. This team is just if they're going to lose, it's going to be because they give up too many points. That's just really how they play. Excellent passing attack for Jayville too. That's really how they. That was one of the reasons why I was so close last week, is because the passing game just wasn't working for him for a while against Sam Houston. So I think they correct that. So I love that. Thursday, DJ Moore over 49.5 reception yards. Man, they're starting to click. I mean, I know they lost. Really, if you take apart the defense of the Bears, put any other defense in the league pretty much in that, I don't think the Bears are 0-4. I think their defense is that bad. So I love DJ Moore over 49.5 yards. That's Fields' guy. He's been doing really good all season. So that's a gimme for me. I'd be shocked if he doesn't get that, unless it's injury or something.
He could have that by halftime. So that's one of those
bets
cash halftime. So that'd be great.
Well, and his style is getting a 50-yard ball. So it could be one play.
Absolutely.
Kansas, OK State under 54. I don't hate this one, but it scares me because Kansas is just such a juggernaut offensively. But OK State is just
That's Kansas State. That's Kansas State. Kansas. That's why I put it at 50. That's why I put it under 54. If it was Kansas, I would never have taken it, but that one's Kansas State, Oklahoma State. So
you didn't see a thing. KSU.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
I like that. I like that because OK State is just they're so bad this year. It's unbearably bad.
Even if Kansas State scores 34, I don't think Oklahoma State's going to get to 20, to be honest.
So here's the real. Is this Kentucky? Yeah, Kentucky University. Kentucky. Team total over 16.5. Oh, I think it's going to happen. I mean, if they want to win, they got to score more than that. Auburn scored more than that. So absolutely, I'll take that.
Yeah, and I think what Kentucky's going to do is come out fast. Have we seen Georgia play this year? I have no confidence that they can cover the 14.5 point spread, first of all, that you put up there. That's number one. And number two, I think Kentucky can score by running the ball. I think Georgia's going to have a lot of problems stopping their run. They have an outstanding running back that can go over 100 yards in this game. And if that's the case, he could single-handedly get him 14 of the 16. So,
yeah, I kind of feel like this might be a game that they could lose. Georgia could lose this game. Maybe Kentucky's even better than what we've seen when they've been really good. I mean, they took care of Florida. They've taken care of everybody they played. I guess this is the real test, and this might be the one time in the one part of the year where a team like Kentucky that's normally in the middle of the pack in the SEC gets to take that next step and go above. Because really, college football used to be like this. The top teams are over here, everybody else is over here. Yeah. It's condensed quite a bit this year. There's not really anybody that you can say it's like, yeah, this team is just unbeatable, which is great for college football.
And the other thing I think we could say about Georgia is all these defensive departures for the NFL draft. It might be catching up to them a little bit now. Defensively, they don't look as dominant as they have in the last 2 or 3 years. And that's self-explanable because look at the Eagles. It's all Georgia's defense, but it might be starting to catch up to them. So
well, and who have they played so far this year to really test that theory? And this is going to be the week that we get to test that theory against Kentucky, because Kentucky's a real offense. I mean, I'm not discrediting. I'm not trying to trash Auburn, but they're not one of the better SEC teams. And, being in Jordan-Hare Stadium is definitely going to be difficult. But, I was surprised with what I watched from Georgia. So I don't know if it's just young, inexperienced college kids that haven't gotten a chance to be the starters in Georgia or what it is. But I think this is a chance for Kentucky to take this one. And then after that, you have to sit back and you say, okay, who's going to take on Kentucky? Is it Bama?
Right.
Are they the next ones? Because LSU just got beat by Ole Miss. Bama beat Ole Miss, So, and we go back and we don't want to talk about Bama. But who did they lose to? Number 3, Texas, who has looked dominant as can be. We thought that, Bama was just going to be, this slouch team. They might be the best team in the SEC, and we didn't even know it. So all things work themselves out, and Nick Saban knows that. And he's smart. He's a smart man.
And again, that's another bet, Kentucky, Georgia, that could cash by halftime. It could be a 20-17 type of game at halftime. So, those bets, as I said, always great to cash early.
See, that's why Scott's an over guy, because he wants instant gratification. That is
right.
him.
That's right.
Baltimore minus 3.5, and they are playing
Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Give it.
No Fryermuth, no Deontay Johnson. Not sure about Pickett yet. Mitchell Trubisky's the quarterback. Baltimore in red zone efficiency has gone from 30th last year to number 1 in the NFL this year. So when they get in the red zone, they're scoring touchdowns. So
yeah.
I love this bet a lot.
Pittsburgh is falling apart right now.
They are.
Pickett's hurt. You have to put Trubisky in there. I mean, you're not going off of that much of a cliff, but still the offense has been struggling, and it's going to continue to struggle. Baltimore is going to run down their throats, and that's the one weakness of the Steelers' defense really is the run game. I expect a lot of rushing yards, probably 200 to 300 rushing yards for Baltimore in this game, and they're going to chew clock, and that 3.5, I'm not even worried about the half point. I think they probably win by a touchdown or more. But Pittsburgh is just kind of flailing right now.
And what gives you pause about Pittsburgh is Houston dismantled them Sunday. They just dismantled Pittsburgh totally. 30-6 was the final. That doesn't give me any hope for Pittsburgh to bounce back. Yeah, I know they're playing at home. I know it's the rivalry game for Pittsburgh, but still Baltimore's been playing some really good football this year. So I like them a lot.
Easy money right there. Green Bay, Las Vegas, over 7.5 in the first quarter. So you kind of are disagreeing with me a little bit on the under side of things, but maybe you're just thinking they're going to score quick and then slows down.
I think they're going to score quick, and then I think it's going to be a lot of Aaron. I think Aaron Jones is going to have over 20 carries this game. He's got 10 days between the Detroit game and this game. This is the Monday night game. So he's going to be – they eased him back in against Detroit, and it showed. He didn't get much work. I think he gets all the work he can handle in this game. So I think Green Bay and Las Vegas could be a 7-3 game after the first quarter, and that'll hit, and then it'll just completely slow down into a running game. Josh Jacobs and Aaron Jones are going to be the featured, especially if Aiden O'Connell's in the quarterback, not Garoppolo. So
here's my one caveat to this. It's going to smash if Vegas gets the ball first, because Josh McDaniels is the king of scripting one drive.
Yep.
He did it against Buffalo. First drive, they scored a touchdown. The rest of the game was complete garbage for them. If they get the ball first, they can run that perfect drive he creates. They'll score their 7. Green Bay, all they got to do is get a field goal or a touchdown. Easy.
Right.
Easy.
And against that Raiders defense, I think Green Bay is going to be able to move the ball. Yeah. And I think it could happen as soon as the first drive. I think there's going to be a huge play early in this game because Green Bay is not happy with the way they played against Detroit. So I think Green Bay is going to take either a long run by Jones, because Dylan's done for me. I'm not even using him. And then Las Vegas is at home. It's Las Vegas, so they're going to come back down the field. All it basically is Green Bay scores a touchdown. Vegas just needs a field goal, which they can get.
Yep.
And it's 7-3. Vice versa. So you get 10 points in the first quarter. That cashes, and then your under will probably cash too, because I could see this becoming a very slow get it out of Jordan Love and Aiden O'Connell's hands and feature Jacobs and Aaron Jones. So I think it could be something like a 1-17 type of final game score.
Well, for me, Scott, I hope it's 2 field goals and a safety, and it's in the last seconds of the first quarter, just for you. It's time you started sweating, my friend.
Yeah, I know. But, sweats are even better than that. I bet the LSU Mississippi game last week in game. I kept betting the total. It kept climbing the ladder every chance. So I hit most of them. So
I was gonna say you must have won every bet because that game went 100 to 105.
Yeah, it was Jaden Daniels. They made a good point and we'll get to LSU because they're in the next segment. They're one of my picks in the next segment that we'll get to. So
let's break down Tanner while we wait for. Oh, I gotta change his numbers here. We can't hide the fact that Mr. Tanner he is 4-6. We will not let him get away with that.
What does he think? He's got a baseball pick in the first one. What the heck? Come on, Tanner.
Got a Nerfy. Nerfy is Arizona, Milwaukee. I don't hate that, honestly.
I don't hate it either.
Gallon Price shuts down the first inning, and Milwaukee's got good pitching, so usually
Yeah.
if their starters can pitch well, it's the bullpen that gives it up for them, or they just don't score
Yeah.
runs. So I love it. I'll take the Nerfies. So good job,
Yeah,
Tanner. That one's good. Thursday, Western Kentucky LT under 60.5. I mean, this one is tough for me. It's tough for me only because I am an under better, and I believe in unders. But Western Kentucky's got a good offense. It's just does Louisiana Tech, because Louisiana Tech is known for their offense too. So that's probably why the line is so high. But it's still, even I've said this the entirety of my betting. Just because two teams can score a lot of points, it doesn't mean that time is different in any other game. It takes a lot of time to score those points, whether you can score a lot or you don't. And I think that's my recipe for that is, if you're in the 70s or 80s, you better have two teams that can score fast and score efficiently. If you only have one, I cashed on the under for Oregon and Colorado because they didn't have two teams that could score to get to that over. It's the kind of the same thing. And that's why the Colorado USC one didn't work, because USC's defense was so bad that Colorado could actually score. So this is the one where I am like towing the line at this number. I could totally see it happen. I could see Western Kentucky winning 42 to 14 or something. But LT can score some points potentially and make it 42-20 or something, and then we're all screwed. So
I think you're going to know after the first quarter if this is going to hit or not based on how both teams come out. If it's a 14-10 type of game after the first quarter, there's no way that they're going to be under 60.5. But if it's like 7-3, 7-0, yeah, you're in great shape to hit the under. So
you know me, Scott. I would tease this probably to 70 and just sit back and sip on my cocktail. So
I would too. More points I can get, the better off I am. So,
speaking of drinking, I don't know what Tanner was drinking, but no, Nebraska versus Illinois over 43. He must know something that I don't, because there's no way in God's green earth would I put a penny on that over. Both these teams can't score.
Nebraska play? Have we seen Nebraska play this year?
I only say that too. And I only say that too because Illinois has a good defense. So even if Nebraska, if they were playing a team with a bad defense, I could see it. But Illinois, that's what they play D. I just don't see this game being more than like 17-13 or something. So maybe we're going to eat some crow, Scott, but right now I'm calling him drunk.
I wonder if he's going off what Illinois and Purdue did last week. And Purdue won the game 30-16 or something like that. So I wonder if he's looking at that saying, well, Illinois is going to give up some points to Nebraska. But the one problem I have is Nebraska can't score.
Right, they're
13-10, 35-7 last week in the under hit against Michigan. So yeah, if Nebraska doesn't score in double digits to Friday night, there's no way this hits. There's no.
Well, let me give Nebraska some credit. They play defense. I mean, Michigan did look pretty crappy, but they held Michigan at 35 points even. So. And let's just be clear, Scott, that last touchdown Nebraska got, it was at the very end of the game on a blown play. So 35-0.
Yeah, so they were shut out for the whole game. Yeah, 35-0. Right. So
and obviously Illinois is no Michigan, but Nebraska's no Purdue. And Purdue does score points.
Yeah, they do.
So give me the under. Tanner, I hope I'm right because I've trashed you quite a bit.
Yeah, I hope I'm wrong about this because,
I can see it being 21-20, and that's only 41. So it's like, I just don't see how they can climb to that.
Yeah. I can see a 10-7 game at halftime and then it being like 17-13 final.
Yeah. Field goals galore. Washington State money line. Washington State money line against UCLA. Give it to me. Give it to me. I think this is going to happen. I agree 100%. Yep. It's going to be a wild game. I can tell you that. I wouldn't take overs or unders. I just really don't know. It could be a slow roller. It could be a high stakes, but the teams might feel each other out. But I feel like Washington State's for real. They are for real. Oregon State took down Utah, and Washington State took down Oregon State. If you want to look at it that way, I really think that this team is right there for the Pac-12. Right around. I mean, you got Washington, Oregon, and USC to go through, but they're right next to them underneath that. So I love it, and they're still the dogs right now. So give me Washington State.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Washington State is one of those sneaky teams in the conference that nobody wants to play because they know they're good. And it's like, oh God, we got to go. And I think it's at Washington State too, which, up in Pullman's not an easy place to play for anybody. So,
just an update: 2-0 Twins in the 5th inning against the Blue Jays.
Blue Jays are done.
Unbelievable.
I can't believe it.
Sonny Gray's pitching a gem.
I wonder if these series are going to be all sweeps. It might happen. If Arizona beats Milwaukee, it's going to all sweep 2-0.
I feel it. I feel it, man.
Yep.
Let's see. We've got Houston money line for Tanner on Sunday. I'm just looking at the team they're playing. Oh, Falcons. Yeah, I can see it. Dude, CJ Stroud is phenomenal. He is connecting with all of his receivers. Just give CJ Stroud, and I'm not discrediting the guys he's got at receiver. Give him a Devontae Adams. Give him a Stephon Diggs. This dude is going to, explode. I mean, he's doing the stuff with Nico Collins. I really like Tank Dell, but he's a rookie. He's doing it with a bunch of guys that, have never really been a huge thing in the NFL, and he's looking like a pro out there.
That's right.
If DeMeco Ryans can keep it up defensively, this team could win the division. Jacksonville doesn't look good. Indy's, kind of high and low. They've been playing well, and Tennessee's the same thing. They're one team one day and another team the next. I mean, but Houston, I think every team is 2-2 in this division right now. So
yes, Yep.
I'd look at that.
You want to look at a coach of the year? DeMeco Ryans. Put a little money on that. If Houston makes the playoffs and wins the division, he's going to be coach of the year. No question.
I would see what the line is right now and put money on them winning the division as well.
I would too. I think it's plus 400 or something like that. So it's really at a good price, or it was. Yeah. I don't know if it is now. But.
Absolutely. So I'll take that, Tanner. Tanner, you're doing good except for that Nebraska one. We'll talk. Green Bay to win both halves. I like it. I can see that. I just don't. I don't think I've ever went with Vegas on a bet. That's how I don't like Vegas regularly, and I don't like Vegas the team. They're not consistent enough for me to be confident. So, in fact, in my survivors this week in DraftKings, I picked the Chargers to beat the Raiders, and it was pretty much an easy one. A little scare at the end, but I like that. I think Green Bay, and they got it.
Isn't that one of those bets that nobody ever makes? That's a hardly bet. Win both halves. Not a lot of people do that, but that's a sneaky good bet. Absolutely. No, it's plus. It's got to be plus 110, 120, something like that.
It is plus 330.
Whoa! I might have to sprinkle some money on that one. I like that. I do. I like that one. Yeah. The other thing that I've been putting money on lately is, and I cashed it on the Monday night game, punts. Over 7.5 I put for punts, and it cashed.
Where are you doing that on FanDuel?
DraftKings. It's on team totals or team props or something. Game props. You go way down to the bottom, and it's punts. So if you think the game is going to be like Baltimore-Pittsburgh, could be, there's a lot of punts in. But Seattle and the Jets, Jets of Denver, another game. Punts. I'm gonna look at that closely.
They just updated DraftKings, so I didn't know all about that till recently because it updated and then everything was different, and I was like, I can't see my game lines. What's going on? So they fixed it for me. But let's talk about our other favorite bets. We won't run through the slate necessarily, but there's some things that have caught my eye. I know there's some things that have caught your eye, so I wanted to see what you had and kind of go from there.
So LSU first half, minus 1.5. Brian Kelly's been on their butts all week at practice about playing defense and tackling. They were awful in tackling. I think LSU is going to come out focused, ready to go, and it's a first half bet. So I think they can win the first half. Jaden Daniels is awesome. He's awesome as a quarterback. He starts slow, and then he gets going. So I like that one a lot. I like The Kentucky one over 16.5. I like Army on the money line against College this week. Boston College is a mess, complete mess, and I just don't know if they're. I think their coach is going to get fired at the end of the year. To be honest with you, they're just the most. I think they're the most penalized team in the ACC. They have no discipline. They barely beat a Virginia team last week that they probably should have beaten up by at least 2 touchdowns, and they couldn't even do that.
Listen, I've been to Mikey Stadium many times, and that place is rocking. That place is a powerhouse. It's always full. It's not an easy place to play. It's a great stadium too. Army's an excellent team. I like the -3. I think that they win by that or more. Let me run one by you, Scott. I don't have a line yet because I don't think they have a line yet.
Okay.
I might take William and Mary over Virginia. Last week was Virginia's chance to win a game this season. If you look at that schedule, they're going to go 0-12 if they don't beat William and Mary. And William and Mary, the reason why I say I like them, this team is pretty decent for being a Division II. Some solid wins. They did lose to Elon this past week. Elon's kind of in the mix there. But Virginia's just not good.
No, they're not.
They should have beat Boston College. They should have.
They should have,
But after William and Mary, it's North Carolina, Miami, Georgia Tech. That's a possible one. Louisville, Duke, and Virginia Tech, which Virginia Tech's not good this year, but they're better than Virginia. This team, if they don't beat William and Mary, they're 0-6, probably 0-12. I don't know what the line's going to be because they don't even have it yet, but boy.
I would think you think about 4 or 5 for a line probably when you're looking at that.
I'm watching it like a hawk.
Yeah, I know. I bet Bowling Green against Georgia Tech last week, and Bowling Green won the game. I put them on money line last week. So I'm going Miami this week. I think Miami smokes Georgia Tech this week. It's 21. It's 21. I think Miami will be able to name the score, to be honest with you. So I like that one too. And the last college one I'll give you is Iowa -1.5. Their backup quarterback is in. He threw to his wide receivers 6 times last week. The last 2 games, Cade McNamara threw to his wide receivers a combined 6 times. They are a better offensive team with this backup quarterback in the game. I'm not saying they're gonna score 40 because that's not Iowa, but they could hit 20, 27 and win that game. So I like Iowa a lot. -1.5.
Great. Okay. I'm not touching that game, Scott, but that's a very interesting point because I was leaning Purdue. I was. Yeah. They can't play defense, but they have a pretty good offense. Purdue does. So I'm no longer touching it because they have changes to the quarterback that could actually make them prolific, and I don't want that to happen to me. So I'm definitely going to watch that.
Oh, and then wait a minute. I do have one more college pick. Notre Dame -6.5 over Louisville. I love that spot for them. Love it.
For my heart, Scott, thank you. For my heart, thank you. They rode us down, and we really should have been rode down last week against Duke, by the way. Fantastic game. Notre Dame just forgot to play offense for a while. But you want to talk defensive battle. Oh, it was one of the best games I've seen in a long time. So much credit to Duke. Wow, what a game. By the way, speaking of Duke, pretty sure they're not going to have Riley Leonard this week. He got a pretty bad injury against us at the end of the game. I think they have a week off actually, so I can't bet against them. But he's that good. If he's not in, I don't like Duke. I think he's that good. He's going to be an NFL quarterback someday. So yes, they have an off week this week, so good for them. I hope he's back the next week. Yeah. But listen, I will give you the -6.5 for Notre Dame, Scott. But Louisville is no slouch. They're no slouch. I watched them last week a little bit against NC State. They had some trouble with that defense, so I like Notre Dame's chances on that end. The quarterback, the Plummer for Louisville, just struggled against that defense. But Louisville's defense, they were playing the worthless NC State Wolfpack offense. But they might give Notre Dame some fits. Could be a low-scoring game. So to the surprise of a lot of people, I think it might be a low-scoring game.
Yeah, I agree. Somebody said on TV that I saw today, UCLA team total over 31.5 they were taking because they think there'll be no defense played in that game. I don't know if I'm going to do it or not, but that's one of the things I saw today. That's a shaky bet up at Washington State. That's a shaky bet.
Yeah, I feel like I think both teams are offensively prolific, but I think it could be a feeling out process. I really do.
Yeah.
Could be a drive down the field, but an interception and close to the red zone type of thing, and then it just kind of stalls. A 10-yard sack or something. It just kind of feels like that's what's going to happen early on. Maybe I'm just totally wrong, but I don't know. It's not a line I like. I like the Huskies or Washington State to win. I like them to win.
Yeah, I do too. I'm with Tanner on that.
Looking at some of the NFL stuff here. One that I really like, Scott, and hear me out on this. Miami Giants under 48.5. Under 48.5.
I do too.
Couple of reasons. One, it's over 11 or it's over 9 points on the spread, which usually when that's the case, you take the under. Mm-hmm. It's an old homage. And I just think the Giants are horrible. And, obviously Miami didn't play defense last week against Buffalo, my Bills, but they're playing in Miami. They're going to bounce back. Maybe they take a little bit of more of a methodical approach, running the ball. I just like the over under 48.5. What do you think? Maybe 49?
Yeah, because I think Miami can score 34. I don't think Giants are going to get to 14. I don't. I that team Monday night that I saw, and they're on a short week, and they're going down to Miami. It was going to be hot and humid probably. The Giants aren't going to be ready for that. You're going to see cramping. You're going to see guys with IVs. You're going to see all these fans going off with the water that shoots the water out. So the Giants aren't going to be ready for Miami. Miami's offense is too fast for them. Too fast.
Yeah.
So I can see like a 30-10 game.
We remember. That's why we lost that year, last year. It was just crazy hot. And the way they set the stadium up, man, you're directly in the sunlight if you're the away team, which is incredibly smart. Yeah. In terms of other games I like this week, NFL-wise, Chiefs minus
Detroit this week. Yeah, I love Detroit this week. Carolina.
You like him at 10 points, or do you like him?
I do like him at 10 only because Bryce Young has not shown me anything until he shows me something. I think Detroit's just going to run the ball. Carolina is all banged up on defense. They have trouble stopping the run. Alexander Madison had a great running game against them last week, and he hasn't had one all year long. So I think David Montgomery's going to eat again this week.
All right. I need your help, Scott. This will be our last segment for today. We might have to make it a segment. All right. I am in a very expensive Survivor League in DraftKings. I'm still in.
Yep.
The pot is very large, and I'd like to win this year. I always come very close. So you can't pick the same team twice. So I've done pretty well so far. I've already picked the Giants to win and the Commanders, and they won the weeks I picked them. So I'm saving my good teams for down the road. Do I take the Lions against the Panthers, or do I take the Bengals against the Cardinals? Because this might be their only win for a while.
I would take the Lions. I have a lot of confidence in Detroit this week. I know the only problem I have is what if Burrow – see, I'm nervous that he's going to get hurt in one of these games with his leg. And then he's going to be – and if Jake Browning's the quarterback, I have no confidence Jake Browning can be that. And Arizona's hung in with a lot of the team. Even San Francisco. If Zach Ertz catches the ball with 8 seconds left, they cover. They cover the 14. So they've been in games against everybody. They beat Dallas. They were ahead of the Giants by 20 at halftime. Week 1, nobody gave them a chance, and they competed with Washington, who we found out is not as good as everybody thought. But still, Arizona scares me at home. Josh Dobbs has been playing some nice quarterback for them. So,
you don't feel like Detroit's a trap game?
I don't think so, because I think Dan Campbell will make sure it's not a trap game. Yeah. I would make sure Dan Campbell's not going to make it a trap game. I like you.
They are at
– go ahead. I like
they are at home.
Yeah, that's the one thing. And if Carolina can't stop the run, what does Detroit do best? They run the football. I mean,
Yeah.
Baltimore's
All right,
a nice spot against Pittsburgh this week. I'm trying to think. You've taken the two unconventional teams that probably not many people have taken in Washington and the Giants.
Yes. So I took the Commanders to beat the Cardinals in week 1. Took the Giants to beat them in week 2. Granted, I was sweating my britches off on that one.
Yes.
I started changing my opinion about the Cardinals after that one. Week 3, I picked who was it? Week 3, the Bills against the Commanders. That was their most obvious win, so I took them then.
Yep.
And then last week I took the Chargers over the Raiders. That was the only time I ever felt confident in the Chargers. So I've still got the Cowboys. I still got the Niners. I still got the Chiefs. I got teams I can use here.
It's a shame. It's a shame Zach Wilson's playing quarterback for the Jets because that could be a game they could win with Rodgers up at Denver. Denver's defense is horrible. It's awful.
But I can't take Denver because I can't take
Denver. No, you can't. You can't. Even though they had a nice win last week against Chicago, you still can't take them.
Gritty. I'm gonna go with the Lions, Scott. You've convinced me. I think it is a get it done game for them. And I'll save my Bengals. A lot of people are going to be on
Detroit this week. A lot of people are going to be on Detroit this week as a survivor. I think. Yeah. 3-1, just beat Green Bay, had 10 days off to get ready for Carolina at home. Team that can hardly stop the run. I just think Detroit's in a really good spot to win this game. They will not look past Carolina. They're in first place in the division. It's not it's not like they got to say, all right, we've got Chicago next week, and Chicago's in first. They don't have to. They're in first place. So
you're making it make sense. I'm changing the pick right now. There we go. We're in. All right, Scott. That's everything I got for today. Good stuff. Let's obviously, of course, plug as we always do. Let me know what you got going on today.
I'm off the rest of the night. Yep, I'm off the rest of the night. LTS show, NFL Week 5 picks extravaganzas tomorrow night with Nick, Johnny, Sam, and Tanner. My show will be on at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. My DFS show, my new DFS show. That's the Scott Cobe show now. We'll go over top 3 for DFS, DraftKings, FanDuel, upper tier, middle tier, lower tier. And then I'll give you some sleeper plays to go through. Although Joe Burrow was one of my picks last week, it did not work well. So, which I was surprised at. He's killing. I got him in a. I do 5-6 leagues in Las Vegas. I have him in 1 league as my starting quarterback. Awful. I might start Matt Stafford over him this week if Cooper comes back. That's where I'm leaning. But and then Sunday it's I'm off Friday and Sunday the LTS show back for a pregame for NFL. So it's the rest of my week.
Yeah, join me tomorrow for the fantasy football show with my brother. Nothing else for me. I try to keep it lean. Quality over quantity, unless you're Scott Cobe.
That's right.
Which, by the way, I'm sorry I had to hand you a shellacking in our Let's Talk Fantasy League.
My team is awful.
Scored all my points last week.
The team is awful. 14-team leagues are not for me. I don't know why Dan put it in 14. It's bad. It really is. So, but it happens. So,
well, as long as we're still friends.
Yes, definitely so.
All right, folks, that's everything for us. Thanks so much for joining in. Let us know on Twitter if you have any comments, questions going into the betting week. But until next time, folks, we'll see you later. Take care.